rejection of the truth. Jesus is Lord.
God is an all-consuming fire, burning away all false desires.
Yeah, he's gonna burn it away, the holy furnace away.
Hello, brothers and sisters, and this shorter video, these verses on context, will actually be kind of rewind. I was listening to Justin Peters recently, good teacher by the way. I highly suggest you check out his videos. But he was mentioning something in the book of Acts that I thought I should look at as well, and I should share it with you. You've probably heard this idea of Peter's shadow healing people. And when we look at the book of Acts and we think of the book of Acts, we get all these myths and legends about what happened and what didn't happen. And people trying to copy that then nowadays. You know, we want to be like Paul, want to be like Peter, want to do all these kind of weird healings. And we just take parts and bits of what really happened and we make our own legends around them. And that's why these videos are all about coming back to the text and just letting the text speak for themselves. Now, with that said, I kind of hinted at it, but did Peter's shadow really heal anybody? Easy answer, don't know. Be very careful before you say, oh, it's in the text. We'll read the text. We'll say together if Peter's shadow healed anybody. So we'll start actually in verse 12. Now many signs and wonders were regularly done among people by the hands of the apostles. And they were all together in Solomon's portico. None of the rest dared join them, but the people held them in high esteem. Man, I just love verse 13 because it shows that even though there were signs and wonders, a lot of people did not want to be part of the Christian faith, which goes contrary to everything being heard nowadays. That if we did signs and wonders, then a lot of people would believe. No, contrary happened in the book of Acts. A lot of people did signs and wonders, and very few wanted to become Christians. Interesting. And more than ever, believers were added to the Lord, multitudes of both men and women, so that they even carried out the sick into the streets and laid them on cots and mats, that as Peter came by at least his shadow might fall on some of them. The people also gathered from towns around Jerusalem, bringing the sick and those afflicted with unclean spirits, and they were all healed. The problem is we usually take the end of verse 16 and just jam it in verse 15 and say the shadow of Peter was healing all people. Well, that's not what it says. It says that there was a lot of stuff going on, and people were hoping that the shadow of Peter would fall on them, period. Maybe they thought superstitiously that it would do something, but it doesn't say that it did do something. It does say afterwards that many who were sick and afflicted with unclean spirit were being healed. But it doesn't specifically relate it to the fact that Peter's shadow was doing that. This is what I mean by we start creating legends and myth, a bit like Paul going to the third heaven, meaning people could also have the experiences and they forget what Paul actually said. He said clearly what he saw in heaven can't be described with human language. So everybody who has written books and made videos about what they saw in heaven with human language they can explain are actually going contrary to what Paul's experience was like. Interesting, right? That's what happens. We see stuff and we try to copy it instead of letting it sink in and transform us, renewing our minds by the word of God. I'm not here to speak against anything. I'm saying let the word speak for itself. People were seeing a lot of healing and miracles, and they were hoping that Peter's shadow would fall on them. Did he do something? We don't know. Were they hoping? Yeah, they were. Were they right? Maybe not. Maybe it was all myths and legends like we have nowadays. But that said, brothers and sisters, let us be careful to take the word of God very seriously. He is a holy God. We cannot take his word like a magical book. It is his word.
Somebody come on.
They're looking for mountains and rocks to be falling. Please don't refuse the one who's calling you.
He's calling you. He's warning you. What you gonna do?